a mental note of it as he blocks the blow with ease, undeterred by the force behind it. He knows strength alone won't win this. What he needs is precision, clean movement, and speed to dodge and counter everything coming at him. Seth pours everything he has into the barrage, but he can't land a single hit. Even though his opponent is only using a rapier, every strike is parried with tight, controlled movements. In one last desperate move, Seth speeds behind him to try and land a sneak attack, but Cyan doesn't even raise his sword. He flips the match in an instant, grabbing Seth's leg without him noticing and slamming him into the ground. Right before he hits the ground, he jerks himself upright and lashes out with a kick to break Cyan's grip. That quick recovery finally manages to catch his attention. The audience is absolutely locked in, watching what feels like a duel to the death. Seth rises, admitting he's lost the edge when it comes to swordplay. Now he's going all in. Whatever he's got left, he's throwing it. He shifts into stance, readying a high-tier spell. Off in the distance, the Dean observes in silence, clearly invested in how this match unfolds. There's a glint in his eye, waiting to see how Cyan reacts to the next move. Cyan may hold an A rank in physical ability, but his opponent sits one tier higher, an S rank. If this were only about raw stats, the outcome would already be written. But Seth carries an ace. His mana rank's a rare 3-star, the highest among any student here. Sarika watches from the sidelines, holding back the urge to yell at Cyan for dragging things this far. Seth summons a magical fist, ready to strike. Cyan barely shifts, dodging it takes no effort. The spell is redirected mid-air, forced to track him, yet he still evades with ease, not even breaking focus. He's studying the way the caster works, and it's starting to click. This guy might actually be channeling above his level, possibly a 4-star spell. Pissed, Seth accuses him of cowardice for refusing to meet the blow head-on. He decides to up the ante, this time no dodging. A 4-star sandstorm tears toward him. Cyan, ever the aura cultivator, plants his feet and takes it full on. Elsewhere, Brian is busy keeping the dragon girl occupied. He's had plenty of practice raising his younger siblings, and that experience is suddenly paying off. But before he can process it, she shoots up in size, now able to stand on her own 2 feet. Back at the duel, the advanced spell hits dead center on Cyan. The barrier around the arena strains under the pressure, nearly coming apart. Spectators shout for the Dean to step in. It's clearly gone too far. He waves them off, insisting they wait. Cyan activates a technique, siphoning the attack into a single point, the Void Sphere. Within seconds, the entire storm is gone, absorbed completely. Gasps echo. No one expected that, not even the Dean. Sarika watches with rising anxiety, worried that move might have blown his cover wide open. A stunned silence falls over the crowd. Cyan turns and asks if Seth still wants to go another round. He concedes and drops, drained, defeated in both magic and steel. Though frustrated, he takes it as fuel to push himself further. He walks over, hand extended, offering mutual respect, saying he hopes they'll meet in combat again someday. Cyan declines the handshake without a word. When he returns to his spot, he's hit with a shock. The dragon girl's not just taller, she's aged up in appearance too. Everyone knows dragons age differently than humans, but watching it unfold in real time is something else. She now resembles a 6-year-old human, and at this pace, she might look his age by the end of the week. She greets him with a bright smile, but all he can think about is how the hell he's supposed to raise her without getting caught, telling him flat out he won't be able to keep her hidden forever. She's still able to shield his identity, but covering for the girl is beyond her. Then she tears into him for putting on such a spectacle during the fight. She also spots how much the girl has grown during the short time she was gone. Still, it's his mess to deal with. He chose this, and now it's his to manage. But dragging something like this around is bound to put everyone at risk. He takes full responsibility for raising her, already placing a magic barrier around the room to make sure neither Karam nor the girl can be detected by others. That setup is solid enough to ease Sarika's concerns. Before heading out, she hands him a crimson envelope and warns him not to pull this kind of stunt again. Inside is a formal reprimand for causing trouble during the duel, and a threat that he could be expelled over it. The girl looks up at him, asking innocently if they'll end up living on the streets now. He reassures her with calm certainty. Nothing bad's going to happen. He'll sort things out with the school. He already knows the Dean sent it personally, not the admin office, which likely means it's more of a summons than a punishment. In his previous life, he had once gone to that same Dean to request entry into the Knights of Light. He had finally decided to follow his father's wishes, surrendering to his brother's commands. The Dean hadn't supported the choice. He knew it wasn't a good fit, but he hadn't been able to stop him either. Right before granting entry, the Dean had given him a warning, one that proved to be true. Nothing worthwhile would come from chasing that path. Whether he faced consequences or a miserable ending, either way, he'd come out empty. That's the reality of living like someone else's puppet. No matter how things turned out, the resentment would always circle back to his brother. That's what the Dean told him the last time they spoke. But now, the situation's changed, and whatever the Dean thinks this time, he's about to find out. Brian brings up a suggestion. They need to stop calling the girl Kid, and just give her a name already. Without hesitation, he casually names her Nana. Brian snorts at how basic it sounds, but she lights up at the name, running in circles and repeating Nana Vert, completely delighted. Back in his office, the Dean is still mulling over what happened during the duel. He already had high hopes for Cyan, but what he saw today shattered those expectations, absorbing a 4-star spell with a 1-star technique, and doing it without breaking a sweat. The kid's raw potential is too massive to ignore. He wants to know exactly how deep that power goes. Kundal Kazel once trained Emperor Dion himself, and also taught the father of the last Empress. He's one of the rare few alive who hold a 9-star mana rank. But after his sister Dana died, he stepped back from the battlefield and focused solely on running the academy. Even so, there's one thing Cyan has always wondered. He's never actually seen the man fight, and assumed he was a peaceful figure. But in this lifetime, Kazel has thrown himself into the royal succession crisis, yet his personality doesn't seem any different. On his way to the office, he runs into a dense wall of magic blocking the path. The Dean clearly expected him to show up, and this 9-star ward was planted as a test. From his office, he waits to see how the challenger handles it. Only a capable mage could break through. He acknowledges the challenge, but instead of forcing the barrier, he circles around the building and hops in through a rear window. He introduces himself face to face and says he's here to formally complain about the warning letter. The Dean accepts the confrontation and asks what the issue is. Cyan points out that the letter came straight from him, but after seeing the tomb, he's certain now it was just bait to test him. The Dean doesn't deny it. He admits the trial was excessive, but Cyan passed it, no question. Still, the warning stays. He repeats it. He's not retracting the warning. Cheyenne insists on asking something first. Does the Dean want want to expand the empire, or protect his family's legacy? The older man replies, calling it a gutsy question, but claims he doesn't care about either. Cyan isn't buying it. He presses further. If Emperor Dion dies and the third or fourth prince makes a play for the throne over the first, wouldn't the dean pick a side? The dean's tone sharpens. He's clearly pissed, and calls him arrogant for pushing the question. He says Cyan was a pawn for Ashel, but from where he stands, the dean isn't any better. In his previous life, he had been just another puppet for Ezreal, and nothing about the man in front of him seems any less controlled. The dean slams his desk, voice rising. Does he really think a century of peace is that easy to break? He thought Cyan was a prodigy, but now sees nothing but a naive idiot. Then he throws another question at him. Does he honestly believe the mother of the first prince and second princess just died of illness? Does he think the third and fourth princesses are fair competition for the first prince? The Napules family, the one Empress Cassandra comes from, is notorious for hoarding power. That clan would do whatever it takes to stay at the top. In Cyan's view, peace in the empire is already collapsing, and once it does, the academy goes down with it. And the dean? He's scared. It's hard to believe a kid barely 11 is analyzing politics like this. He seems to understand the whole mess like someone twice his age. The dean asks what he wants from sharing all this. He says it plain, he wants to negotiate. He's willing to help preserve the academy's future and the safety of the dean's family, but he wants the warning rescinded in return. The dean just laughs. He casts a spell above, conjuring magical restraints that snap tight. Chains wrap around Cyan, blocking his movements. Then the dean stares him down, wanting to know what kind of power he thinks he holds to even dream of offering a deal like that, because now he's going to learn what it means to screw up. The dean activates his spell, latching Cyan in place with his chains of judgment. Magic coils around him, restricting movement entirely. He looks confident, convinced the protagonist won't be breaking free from a 9-star spell like the Chain of the Tower. He quietly wonders if he might have given him too much credit, but that thought doesn't hold for long. Cyan calls on the Void Sphere. To his shock, the supposedly weak 1-star spell starts pulling in the high-rank magic. Cyan meets his gaze, asking if he still seems useless now. The dean admits it. He's impressed. And yeah, he'll revoke the warning. But that can't be the only thing the kid wants from this, right? Meanwhile, Brian has stepped out to grab food for Nana. He ends up buying a random collection of sweets, already picturing how happy she'll be devouring them. But something's off. The streets are unusually quiet for this time of day. He brushes it off, assuming it's nothing. That is, until he feels something strange coming from a shadowed alley. He calls out, telling whoever's hiding to show themselves. When they do, his eyes go wide. He recognizes them instantly. Before he can react, they take him. Back at the academy, after wrapping up his talk with the dean, Cyan decides to attend his final class of the day. He's there, but mentally, completely checked out. It's hard to stay interested in material he already mastered 30 years ago. He tries to sneak out mid-lesson. No assignments today, planning to head straight to training. Aaron catches him mid-exit, asking where he thinks he's going. Class isn't over yet. He throws out the bathroom excuse, hoping to slip past, but she's not buying it. Wrong hallway for that excuse. Leximus chimes in, reminding her to carry herself like a proper princess. She ignores him and presses Cyan again. If he's not going to the bathroom, then where? He tries switching topics, asking why she lets Leximus speak to her so casually in public. She shrugs, saying she only allows him to use her first name in private, then adds that Cyan should do the same, since they're friends now. He replies that he's just some nobody while she's the Emperor's daughter. She calls him too uptight. Before their exchange can go further, 2 upperclassmen step into view. Aaron freezes when she sees them. One smirks, saying it's been a while. Pavian stands in front with his brother Narrovian beside him. She bows politely, showing deference. Narrovian mocks her, asking why she's running around with peasants she once had chained up. Cyan clocks them immediately, the Neptune brothers, her half-brothers, and they're clearly not fond of her. Then they notice him. He steps forward and introduces himself as Cyan Vert, youngest heir of the Vert family. They nod, saying they'd recognize a duke's son anywhere, and mention they caught his duel earlier. It left an impression. They tell him next time there's a gathering, he should come. Might even become friends. Then Pavian turns back to Aaron, telling her flat out to stay in her lane, drop the arrogance, and remember her place. With that, they leave, dragging her pride along. Leximus looks over, confused, asking if those two were really her brothers, and what the hell's wrong with them. She keeps her voice calm, saying they're still family. She can't just abandon blood ties. Cyan disagrees. To them, he says, she's beneath dirt, less than a stranger. Blood or water, it means nothing without power. That's why they treat her like that, because deep down, they're afraid of her. This is just their way of keeping her in check, so she has no reason to hang her head. The words hit harder than she expected. She goes bright red, clearly moved, unable to believe he'd say something that kind to her. He returns to the royal hall and immediately notices something's off. No one's around except Nana. He calls out for Karam and Brian. Only Karam responds. He notices she's in fireball form, hovering. When he asks why, she says it helps conceal her energy whenever she needs to stay hidden, then asks what's so urgent. He says he needs her to track Brian. She pauses, focuses, then says she can smell blood, and it's coming from the direction he went. Elsewhere, Brian is getting slammed around by a group of thugs clearly working under Barrett. The man crouches nearby, sneering that Brian should have listened when they were still playing nice. But now they're done holding back. They're going to cut him up and mail the pieces to Cyan like a present, all because he dared act bold in front of him. Brian just laughs, unshaken, telling him he's still got nothing. That's the last straw. Barrett loses it and gives the order, kill him. Now, they raise their swords, ready to strike, but Cyan cuts in with a sharp question. What exactly do they think they're doing? Barrett freezes the moment he hears that voice. He knows who it belongs to. The S-rank mage turns his attention to Brian, who looks absolutely wrecked, barely able to speak. The eldest Lewis Miles sees the moment as perfect. This might be his shot at payback. He growls out a threat, saying he'll rip out Cyan's organs. The other boy cracks a smile, welcoming the fight, then unleashes thick fog, 8th form, assault, slicing the knights into bloody fragments in an instant. Barrett stands stunned, speechless as every mercenary he brought drops dead in seconds. There's no chance he can beat someone like that. It's beyond what his brain can process. Cyan's strength is too unreal. He tries casting a spell in desperation, only to get cut off by a brutal kick to the gut that sends him flying. The mage glares down at him, asking if picking on weaker people is what he calls fun. The would-be noble coughs and laughs it off, saying it's just one of his hobbies. He wants to know if Cyan's really going to kill him over that. Barrett, the eldest heir to the Lewis Mile family, is effectively the shadow ruler of the Garam kingdom. His reputation for being twisted is well known. Beating people up was the least of his crimes. He once set a small animal on fire just for fun. Then came the moment he crossed the line entirely. He murdered a female classmate. His excuse? She was simply practicing magic. Eventually, the Mist issued a purification order against him. When Cyan broke into the Lewis Mile residence after the exile, he discovered discovered piles of corpses, dead servants stuffed into the basement. He hadn't planned a quick death. He intended to make him suffer first. But then the criminal laughed, telling him to skip the drama and just get it over with. He claimed he didn't mind dying, said he'd already wrung all the pleasure out of life. Now thinking back on it, Cyan realizes that killing him like that wouldn't have been punishment. It would have been mercy. Barrett already got what he wanted out of life before dying. Just dying won't ever come close to repaying what he's done. The mage grabs him, pries his mouth open, and begins forming a marble of mana. The Louis Mile heir recognizes what's coming and suddenly panics, begging him to stop. He throws out threats, warning what'll happen if Cyan dares hurt someone from the Garam Kingdom's most powerful bloodline. But before he can finish, the sphere is jammed down his throat and swallowed. The victor tells him it's fine if he wants to hate him, talk trash, curse him, whatever. But there's one thing he better not forget. Never lay a hand on someone under his protection. Barrett writhes in agony as the mana marble detonates inside him, permanently shattering his internal mana flow. From a nearby rooftop, Ashel's butler has been watching everything. He's stunned. Cyan's power far exceeds what he expected. He realizes he has to report back to his master immediately, before the mage ruins everything. But he doesn't even get the chance. A cold blade presses against his neck. It's Sarika. She's finally tracked down the stalker who's been tailing her student for days. Meanwhile, Cyan heads over to Brian, checking him for injuries. The injured man apologizes, saying he didn't expect them to gang up on him like that. The mage straightens up and asks if he truly sees himself as a subordinate. Then why the hell was he fighting a losing battle? He says charging into a hopeless fight might be noble, but it's still dumb. A dead loyalist is useless to him. He cuts the scolding short, telling him they'll finish this conversation back home. He then calls out, demanding Sarika reveal herself. A group of mist assassins appear, with the woman leading them. She's impressed. He noticed them despite their perfect concealment. She drops down, dragging the butler with her, saying she brought him a present. But Cyan already knows the guy's been shadowing him for a week. The assassin acknowledges his growing capabilities, outclassing a mist assassin, outwitting the dean, and handling a demonic sword without losing his mind. He checks all the boxes of an ideal successor. Still, she warns him, it can't go on like this. More people are getting suspicious. He promises to be more discreet, but he has no plans to keep playing the idiot who takes abuse from others. He makes it clear, if anyone touches one of his people again, he'll destroy them. No exceptions. Sarika gets it. She respects that he wants to protect his own and prepares to leave. Before she goes, she tells him to deal with the butler and that she'll handle the situation with Barrett. The captive has been listening to every word. He thinks he's about to die, but Cyan has something different in mind. He asks if the man is Ashel's top subordinate. He clearly never leaves his master's side. The mage used to envy that loyalty in his past life. He could kill him here, but there's a better use for him. Cyan casts a shadow personality spell. The butler screams as the dark energy pours into his body, taking control from the inside. Leximus and Aaron are sparring nearby, using their match as part of their training routine. She struggles to keep pace with his speed and precision. Eventually, he slips behind her, gently placing the blade near her head and declaring the match in her favor, still addressing her formally as Your Highness. She yields, accepting the loss, but insists he should drop the title and just use her actual name instead. Elsewhere, they hear Brian groaning through clenched teeth as he trains with Cyan, who's been running him into the ground. He's taking hit after hit but holding up thanks to his high stamina and brute strength. Cyan's already considering he might be a decent asset down the line. He checks if Brian wants to pause for a break. The other boy brushes off the pain, pretending he's still fine and ready to continue. Not that it would have mattered. Cyan would have kept going regardless. He knows there's no telling when someone like Barrett might strike again. Brian needs to be prepared to hold his own. Brian brings up Kellen, asking if he's really alright after the spell was used on him. Cyan tells him not to stress about it. Kellen's with them now. He explains the spell. It hijacks a person's personality and puts them under external control. He's only used it once before, back in his previous life. Cyan questions Kellen directly, asking who he is now. The knight answers without hesitation. He's Kellen Diego, a guardian from Velias, assigned to monitor Cyan. He pushes further, asking who his master is at the moment. Kellen says it used to be Ashel, but that's changed. He wants to serve Cyan now, and asks to stay under his command. Cyan gives a sly smile and tells him to deliver his next message exactly as dictated, word for word. Kellen nods, fully on board. Back on the field, Aaron asks if Cyan's here to train. He gives a nod and returns the question. She says she trains here every weekend with Leximus. Lately, she figures it's a smart move, especially after last week's chaos. Barrett had been found collapsed outside the infirmary, completely unhinged and covered in bruises. No one's been able to get a word out of him about what went down or who was responsible. Thing is, it's not that he's unwilling to talk. Sarika straight up erased his memory, and just to twist the knife, he's now permanently blocked from using any form of magic. Still, what throws Cyan off is Leximus's reaction to hearing all this. He expected her to be satisfied, but something in her expression says otherwise. His thoughts are interrupted when Nana drops from the sky, screaming his name. Apparently, Karam left her unsupervised again. The little half-dragon crash lands straight into Aaron's arms, still shouting Papa, while staring at Cyan. Aaron stares at the kid, baffled, and asks what the hell is going on. He gives her the whole backstory, start to finish. Once she understands, she's clearly relieved. Nana isn't actually his daughter, and there's no secret affair with some mystery woman. He braces for blackmail or some school scandal fallout. Instead, she quietly reassures him she won't say a word to anyone. Not the faculty, not the students. He's thrown off. Why help him when there's nothing in it for her? She simply pities Nana. She belongs nowhere. Neither humans nor dragons will ever accept her. If he's willing to care for her, Aaron's fine with it. But there's one condition. She wants to visit whenever she feels like it. She tries to cover the request with her usual detached tone, hiding whatever she's really feeling. He agrees anyway. He doesn't exactly have room to argue. He jokingly calls it their little secret. As he leaves, she blushes faintly, feeling a weird mix of giddy and flustered, like she's finally stepped closer to him. Meanwhile, in the other room, Karam is roasting him for letting Nana show up in front of classmates. She smirks, teasing that maybe they should get a look at her too. He snaps back, blaming her for passing out when she was supposed to keep Nana in check. The mage shrugs it off without guilt and flips the blame right back at him. Brian steps in with a more practical idea. Maybe some walks around the grounds would help Nana unwind instead of keeping her locked inside all day. Cyan agrees. It's probably for the best. Above the academy, two dragons glide across the sky. One of them halts midair, catching a stench that turns his stomach. He turns to the other, Catalina, and asks where they are. She tells him they're flying over Lewin's domain. He scowls, saying he needs to drop by the academy. There's a foul presence down there, and he's not about to let it fester. Brian and Cyan head out together late at night, bringing Nana along for a walk in hopes of shifting the atmosphere a little. During the outing, she figures out how to use her wings and speak clearly, now zipping around wildly through the air without any control. She seems completely drawn to wide open spaces, darting from one spot to another without slowing down. He watches her with a quiet grin, clearly enjoying the sight of her having so much fun. He's brought her to a secluded area far away from the academy grounds, so she can move freely without drawing attention. Karam notices the unusually big smile stretched across his face and throws in a sarcastic comment, telling him he might as well go get Aaron as her mom since he already looks the part of a dad. Their moment of peace doesn't last very long though. An intense, powerful presence suddenly cuts through the air toward them. Brian quickly reacts, bolting forward to intercept Nana and yanks her away from a fast approaching attack, barely managing to save her. All three duck behind Cyan as two hostile figures make their appearance known. Two dragons, clearly of high rank, step into view, Lucian and Catalina. Lucian's eyes land on Nana, filled with pure revulsion, as both stare at her like she's an abomination. They demand to know if Cyan is her father, having recognized the demonic blade he's carrying. Karam doesn't appreciate the implication and immediately snaps back, only for them to fire off more insults, looking down on the group as if they're dirt. The tension spikes, and they're seconds away from fighting until Lucian signals Catalina to hold back. He says he's not interested in wasting energy on creatures beneath him, and there's no need to fight if they just hand the child over. Cyan doesn't flinch and fires back by calling him a lizard-faced piece of trash, which instantly pisses the dragon off. He blasts a beam of raw mana toward the swordsman, but it's sidestepped in an instant before he activates his demonic transformation. They both instantly recognize the aura. This is the power of the exile. Even so, they don't take him seriously, but he moves faster than expected and closes the distance without Lucian even noticing. The dragon just manages to block the incoming blow and creates space between them for a moment. He fires off a shockwave spell, catching his opponent off guard, but the impact doesn't seem to do anything. Cyan breaks out of it almost instantly. Before the dragon can react, the swordsman sweeps around and attacks from behind, only to be blocked by Catalina's shield. Lucian tells her to back off, warning she's no match for him, but she holds her ground, trusting that her shield, reputed as the strongest among the dragons, will be enough. It isn't. He makes one clean movement, cutting straight through her magical barrier like it's nothing, and slashing her apart using one of his fog-based techniques. Lucian is left stunned. He can't wrap his head around how a human is wielding this level of strength. Even the god of fog has already lost his dominion, so it shouldn't be possible for anyone else to channel that kind of power. He demands to know who the man really is, but the swordsman keeps quiet, refusing to say anything at all. Desperate to turn the fight around, Lucian activates his polymorph, transforming into his full dragon form in one last effort to win. The opponent stays composed, not shaken in the slightest, and charges directly toward him. He knows this is when the dragon is most exposed. Lucian doesn't see it as a problem. He doubts a human would know anything about a dragon's weaknesses, but the swordsman leaps and lands a hit right at the center of his forehead, the core vulnerability. The dragon tries to escape into the air, but fog chains latch onto him and drag him down, sealing his fate. Once the dust settles, Brian runs over to check on things, only to stop in shock as he sees his friends standing there over the defeated dragons, already eating them. Kellen steps into Ashel's quarters and informs him that an unknown force seems to be backing his brother. He also suspects the scouts they sent have likely been eliminated by the same group. Ashel narrows his eyes and asks if that's all he's discovered. Kellen apologizes, admitting he doesn't have anything else to report. But something feels different. Ashel senses a shift in his demeanor. The desperation he showed before leaving for the academy isn't there anymore. He seems like a completely altered man, and that immediately sets off alarm bells. To be sure, Ashel decides to test him with a question. Kellen catches on right away that he's being evaluated, so he bows deeply and begins reciting holy blessings to Lumendel in a show of unwavering devotion. Ashel chuckles and tells him not to be so dramatic. It's just part of standard procedure, nothing personal. He waves a hand, dismissing him from the room. Kellen exits, quietly noting to himself that he'll need to tread more carefully next time. If suspicion grows even slightly, he won't be walking away so easily again. Just as he opens the door, he almost bumps into a young girl. He instantly recognizes her. She's Cyan's personal maid. Curious, he asks what business brings her here. Before she can respond, Ashel appears behind him and places a hand on his shoulder, saying that he's the one who summoned her. He flashes a polite smile and gently requests her help with something. She looks puzzled at first, but agrees, ready to assist however she can. Elsewhere, the dragons hold a private emergency meeting. They've realized that Catalina and Lucian have gone completely off the grid. The last trace of their presence was a massive divine power surge recorded near Lewin's borders. After that, nothing, just total silence. What's alarming is that both were above 8-star rank, and their mana cores were shattered. All that remains of the battle site is raw destruction. No bodies, no clear evidence, just overwhelming magical residue. Whoever killed them went through the trouble of wiping every trace clean with magic. That suggests a dark element caster was involved. The only one they know of who could kill both is Kundal Kazali, but Kundal doesn't possess dark affinity, which leads them to one conclusion. There's someone out there with dark element powers they haven't identified. They already know of Cyan, who's enrolled at the Royal Academy. To them, he's just a teenage boy who happens to wield dark element mana. But now the rumors are piling up. Apparently he survived a clash with a devil dragon. They also suspect he might be tied to the deaths of Reynold and Zykerman, two major players in the slave trade. Both men had been supplying the dragons with human test subjects and magical materials. The leader of the meeting decides they need more information about Cyan. He turns to his granddaughter and tells her to start getting close to him. Back inside the royal dorms, Aaron arrives carrying a pile of sweets for Nana. Cyan stays seated off to the side, watching quietly as the two interact. Despite the peaceful scene, he can't help but stay on edge, worried other dragons might sense Nana again if they aren't careful. He's determined not to let anyone mess with those he considers under his protection. He's already made up his mind to live for himself this time around, and to wreck whatever schemes Ashel has planned. Aaron notices the soft, unguarded smile that crosses his face as he watches them laugh together. She pauses but writes it off as him simply enjoying the moment. Meanwhile, over at the Vert residence garden, Lenal Severus, the first prince, sits with Ashen for a private conversation. It's been some time since they last saw each other. Lenal leans back and asks how long he plans to stay cooped up, wasting away out here in the middle of nowhere. He's also heard rumors that Alice left on some kind of journey. Ashen confesses that he's genuinely worried about her, but admits he has no idea where she's gone or what she's up to. Lenal smirks and teases him, suggesting that maybe he's more concerned about his influence and position than he is about Alice herself. Ashen warns him not to discuss sensitive topics out in public, but the prince shrugs that off, saying they're close friends. It's fine to be honest with each other. He then asks if Ashen's brother is named Cyan. Apparently, the Emperor is starting to take an interest in the protagonist. He's even been thinking about arranging an engagement between Cyan and Aaron, the fifth princess. Lenal admits he's not sure why the Emperor is so adamant about it. Maybe it's his way of trying to shield his daughter. Ashen advises him not to act impulsively. He believes the more attention Erin gets, the more her value and influence will rise, and the more useful she'll be to them. Lionel raises an eyebrow and chuckles, clearly entertained by his calculated approach. A butler arrives with drinks, offering them politely. Ashel, who's now joined them, glances over and asks who this knight is, as he doesn't recognize the man. Lionel replies that he's a rare find, a real gem he discovered while scouting through the slums. Ashel nods, commenting that he certainly looks like an impressive specimen.